Yesterday, you know who gave his first post-election loss interview to Maria Bartiromo, where he continued his baseless claims of a rigged election and even threw his own intelligence agencies under the bus. Now, take a look.
This is total fraud, and how the FBI and Department of Justice, I don't know, maybe they're involved, but how people are allowed to get away from this stuff with this stuff is unbelievable. We won the election easily. There's no way Joe Biden got 80 million votes. I just said there's no way Joe Biden beat Barack Obama in the black communities of various cities, and then he did very badly compared to Obama in other cities throughout the United States. There's no way it happened. This election was a fraud. It was a rigged election.
This is disgusting, and we cannot allow America's election to be corrupted.
Let's not get into what's disgusting here, please. I mean, Georgia Republicans are taking his claims very seriously, asking RNC Chief Ron A. McDaniel why they should bother voting in the runoff Senate election if Democrats already rigged the outcome. Here's what he said.
It's not decided. First of all, David Perdue still has a 100,000 vote lead over John Ossoff right now with the certification. So if you lose your faith and you don't vote and people walk away, that will decide it.
I mean, you know, I'm really sick of all of this. I'm really sick of people blaming American citizens for cheating in their own elections. I'm sick of this. You're blaming Republican governors. You're blaming people who are saying, actually, no. Why would they fight against their own interests? And if, again, I will say, if the Democrats had done this, why has everybody still got a job? I mean, none of this makes any sense to me. And you know who is planning to head down to Georgia. Will that help or hurt things, Joy? What do you think? I mean, this is just insane, this whole thing. What do you think, Joy?
First of all, can we just say that the body snatchers have gotten to Maria Bartiromo? I mean, what the hell happened to her? Okay, that's one thing.
Well, she was a great financial woman, and now I don't know who she is.
Oh, my God. But I think it's going to be hard for him to campaign for Kelly Loeffler, who is under investigation by the DOJ for benefiting from stock options she made after getting private briefing after the outbreak of COVID. And Georgia lost everything, but she didn't. She made money. So that's pretty odious right there. And Democrats and Republicans in Georgia should be aware of that. But I believe that his presence could backfire on him and the Republican Party because you just saw Ronna McDaniel and talking about how they're not going to vote if they think it's rigged. Well, here's the one who's telling everybody it's rigged. So why would Republican voters now vote for anybody? They'll stay home, right? 88% of Republicans believe that Trump won the election. Can you imagine? It's like a country psychosis going on. So why bother showing? They're going to just stay home. I think it's going to work for the Democrats.
Sonny, what do you think about all this insanity?
I mean, some of the claims he made in the interview yesterday were so outrageous. It's, you know, especially when he talked about black voters, Whoopi, and it just seems to me that he is surprised that all the attempts at voter suppression, all the attempts at gerrymandering, all the attempts at screwing around with the U.S. Postal Service, those attempts were ineffective, and our institutions held. And I think that is what is surprising this president and his supporters. Because we know that that's what was at play, especially in a place like Georgia. That was certainly at play in Michigan and Detroit. Mm-hmm. They really attacked black constituents, black voters. That was the plan, and it just didn't work, probably because of people like Latasha Brown and Stacey Abrams, right? So I think that's where some of this surprise is coming from. And I think, you know, what's also fascinating, he just needs to go to Losers Anonymous. Like, he is really in a psychosis right now, and I'm surprised that the people around him, like his daughter, like Jared Kushner, who somehow is on his way to the Middle East. I don't understand why he has to go to the Middle East today, but or this week. I think that they need to stage some sort of intervention at this point, because he is now damaging the Republican Party even further with all of this rhetoric.
Right. And what about you, Sarah? You hear this and you think what?
Well, the first thing that jumps out at me is we just heard Trump himself saying to Maria Bartiromo about the fraud. But his lawyers are going into court and having to say blatantly, this is not a fraud problem because there are legal consequences to lying in a courtroom. There are not legal consequences to lying on TV. So the repeatedly hearing that, I'm just like, your own lawyers, your own legal team are saying this is no such thing. That is not what's happening. And in regard to what Sunny said about black voters, it is possible that they, as she was saying, that they got that many votes because we had a historical turnout, more than we have since 1900. So, yes, it's possible he got more votes than Barack Obama because we had more voters turn out than we've ever had in the history of this, like, for a century. But in beyond that, I think it's interesting that the Ronna McDonald. I almost called her Ronald McDonald. Ronna McDaniel, it's a Monday, people, said in that quote that, don't lose the faith. It's the Republican Party that's telling people not to trust the system, but they kind of called it rigged before the election was over. So now they might be shooting themselves in their own foot because you have people saying, we're not going to show up when it was a Republican advantage in Georgia. These runoffs usually serve Republicans. Right. And then last but not least, to top the cherry on top, hardcore Trump supporters have decided to boycott the election in Georgia because it's rigged. So we now have voters, the Trump supporters, to thank for possibly winning the Senate.
Well, the other crazy thing is all of those Republicans who tried their damnedest to make sure that no one could say that there was any shenanigans going on, who made sure that the vote was crystal clear and done well, they are paying the price for upholding the laws of the country and making sure that this election, unlike the last one, which really had a lot of holes in it, and nobody says anything about that. Nobody wanted to hear that. But I have to say, these are Republicans, these governors who sat and said, listen, there's nothing wrong with what we did. We did everything we were supposed to do. To me, when you're pooping on your own party like that, and you continue to say it was done poorly, and you're saying your own people maybe were involved, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You need to just take a breath. And Joy has a correction. Sorry, Joy, what's your correction?
Well, Kelly Loeffler is not under investigation anymore. She was under investigation. But between late January and March, she ditched more than $20 million worth of shares. So she also made purchases in companies poised to see increased business because of the virus. She's not under investigation by the DOJ at the moment. But she also has some very nefarious dealings going on, okay? That's all.
True.
And the other crazy thing is now the DOJ, is sort of, they're getting shade now, and the FBI is getting shade. You don't know where to look now. And this is what I'm tired of. I'm tired of doubting everybody. Everybody can't be crooked just because the people who initiated all of this is crooked. They are crooked. I believe they're crooked. I don't think they've told one real piece of truth since they've been in. And these are the people we're trusting who are saying, oh, it's all bad. Well, now you don't know what to believe because nothing is substantial or substantiated except he lost. That we're sure of.